Well, Ezra Miller is at it again. This time it seems the psychopath, in my opinion, is being hit with a restraining order by the parents of a young woman by the name of Tokata Iron Eyes. Now, in case you're wondering about the name, because that's both badass and out of the ordinary, young Tokata is a member of the Standing Rock Sioux, which means she can have a badass descriptive last name and not something lame and nondescript, like, I don't know, she's the son of someone named Tom, or perhaps a Miller. I'm not trying to make light of this situation because it's actually pretty fucking disturbing, but as someone with a boring ass last name myself, I couldn't help but admire hers. However, I digress. The creep, in my opinion, Ezra Miller, who was now 29, met with the young Tokata Iron Eyes, who's now 18, when he was still filming the Justice League, when he was 23. Now, if you're doing the math, that means he met this young girl when she was 12. Let that sink in. This dude has been a legal adult, though definitely not mentally, the entire time he's known this girl, whom he met when she was a tween. She's been hanging around with an adult, ostensibly crazy person, in my opinion, throughout some of her most formative years. According to this Daily Mail article, her parents even allowed Miller to fly her to London to visit the Fantastic Beasts set when she was 14. Only now do her parents want to go ahead and try to intervene in this whole super suspect relationship after she's a legal adult and can technically do what she wants. Now, I don't know if it's this article or if this is what the parents are pushing forward, but someone's describing this whole thing starting when she was 12 as an unlikely friendship. Nah, bitch. This isn't an unlikely friendship. This is grooming. Pure and fucking simple as that. This is legitimate grooming. This wasn't a weird opposites attract odd couple style of relationship between two adults. This was between an adult man in his early 20s and a literal child. Take note, moronic twatter denizens, this girl was a literal child. That is using that term correctly. She exists in the real world and was an actual real existing child when Miller met her and started grooming her. That's what the word literal means. It does not apply within the context of a fictional character, you morons. Again, sorry about that. Surprise, surprise, there are morons on Twitter. Imagine that. In their lawsuit against Miller, the parents are stating that the so-called actor has been disruptive of their daughter's life to the point that she quit her private school back in December. Now, I know it seems like I'm all over the place with this, like I can't string together a coherent story from it, but as you can see from the screenshots here, this article is legitimately all over the place itself. It's rampant with grammatical errors and doesn't really have much of a coherent structure. Since it's got two bylines at the top, and it's drawing from several other publications, I imagine that's probably what's contributed to this mess. Also, it doesn't seem the editor is doing their job. Anyway, there's no timeline provided within this article for much of this stuff, but the parents are stating that Miller at some point in his grooming has plied their daughter with drugs and alcohol and has basically been contributing to the delinquency of a minor. So, I suppose since they're stating that bit of it, they think that Miller was doing this before she came of age. Since she's not 21 at this point, that argument could also be made if he is indeed giving her alcohol of any sort as well. The parents also assert that Miller has displayed, quote, cult-like psychological manipulation and controlling behavior, and that he, quote, uses violence, intimidation, threat of violence, fear, paranoia, delusions, and drugs to hold sway over a young adolescent Tokata. According to this little bit that the article cites from TMZ, the parents at one point flew to Vermont to retrieve their daughter and discovered that she had none of her possessions, including her wallet, car keys, driver's license, or bank card. They also state that they found suspicious bruising on her, which they're stating was caused by Miller. She has since fled their home and returned to Miller and has been traveling around with him ever since. Again, no timeline, so I have no idea when all of this shit occurred. Tokata herself has since come out and spoken about this stuff on her own social media platform and, of course, completely dismisses her parents' concerns. Quote, I'd like to make a statement to acknowledge the tragedy that is the narrative of the general public, and the assumptions made on my behalf by my family and friends regarding my stability and otherwise. I dropped out of Bard 5 months ago. My friend and comrade William passed shortly thereafter. My mind was incredibly impacted and I've needed space and time for the processing of grief. My comrade Ezra Miller, for the entirety of the aforementioned era, has only provided loving support and invaluable protection throughout this period of loss. Now, notice the prominent use of commie language within that statement. calling everyone she knows comrade. This girl has apparently been an activist since she was 9 years old and called to testify against a uranium mining company in the Black Hills. She also spoke against the Dakota Access Pipeline and has palled around with Greta Thunberg. Those are just two peas in a very dumb pod, let me tell you. Now, before someone gets their panties in a wad, I believe in taking care of the earth and not trashing the place. I don't believe in dumping a bunch of shit into our oceans or in our land or a bunch of crap into our air. I also don't buy a lot of the propaganda that's being fed into our youth. That's been being fed into the youth since I myself was a youth. I remember every single one of the scare tactics and utter crap that was pushed into my brain by these types of people. The hole in the ozone layer. What happened to that? Acid rain? Where'd that go? Rising sea levels, when millionaires and billionaires are buying beachfront property and flying around in their private jets. Do I believe that we should do what we can to not shit where we eat? Absolutely. I mean, I literally worship the ground you walk on after all. I'm also a realist. I believe that a balance can be struck, but that all of this propaganda and at times outright terrorism and the cult-like dogmatic tribalistic bullshit needs to stop in order for that to happen. On both sides, by the way. So when I say they're two peas in a very dumb pod, that's what I mean. Anyway, this article goes on to talk about all the ridiculous shit that Ezra Miller has been up to for the past few years, because he's a crazy person, in my opinion, and I truly, with the behavior this individual has demonstrated over the years, believe in the parents' assertions about their daughter. However, I find it hard to actually sympathize with them at this point. They knew how old Miller was when he started hanging around their 12-year-old daughter, and they even let him fly her to another fucking country by herself when she was 14. What the actual fuck did they think was going on? They allowed this to happen. They allowed this to go on. They allowed a grown-ass adult to hang around their child. Now they want to do something about it. I mean, I hope the courts rule in their favor. I really do, but I think it's way too little, way too late. They should have nipped this shit in the bud hard back before it even started. As always, these statements are my opinions and nothing more. If you'd like to give me your opinions, you can do so in that handy section down below. While you're down there, watch out for Ezra Miller. If you made it this far into the video, I thank you, sincerely. I also apologize for the lack of content the last couple of days. It's on me completely. I legit just wasn't feeling it, and I literally sat for hours in front of my computer trying to get a video out, and it just wasn't happening. I don't know. Anyway, if you like my stupid opinions, and you want to join my Goblin army and get a whole lot more of them, you can do so by crushing those like and subscribe buttons. Like a goblin. I'll see you all tomorrow with another pop culture tongue lashing. See you then. Lates.